back to Flutter channel where you can access the latest US news.
So my question is, what do you chant for other people?
Hi. Okay, I'm Ivy Williamson. I'm editor-in-chief of the yearbook here.
Wow, so fun.
I'm Drew. I'm also editor-in-chief of the yearbook.
I'm Sam. I'm editor-in-chief of the newspaper.
I'm Emmy. I'm also an editor-in-chief of the newspaper.
Oh, so great, guys. Congratulations. Does that make you all juniors, seniors?
Us
They're
three
all
are seniors.
I'm a junior,
Oh, that's great.
so.
Well, congrats. It's a big responsibility. Looks great in the college app, too.
Yeah, you're right. It's really fun. We love
Yeah,
it.
it
We
is.
love it. It's so fun. Okay, so first question we have is, how do we pay teachers fairly and ensure that our schools are in a good physical condition?
The data shows that teachers are underpaid. Because if you have a good teacher, and you all know this, we all know this, the difference between a good teacher and an okay teacher is enormous. The difference between a good teacher and a bad teacher is like, And so if you have a good teacher in a classroom, they generate hundreds of thousands of dollars just in strict economic value based upon the outcomes of their students over time. And the problem right now is that we're not actually measuring that benefit appropriately. And so teachers are in a tough spot because the state essentially argues that they're all just costs and that like we're just going to give you the minimal raise that we can and just try and get away with it as long as we can. So we should give teachers a raise. We need to recruit and enlist and retain the best teachers, really. And the easiest way to do that is just to pay more. So what I would do is I'd give everyone a $12,000 a year raise immediately because that's my flagship proposal. That obviously would go a very long way for teachers, go a long way for you all too. And then we would start trying to see our kids and our teachers as investments, and then that would end up giving them really, hopefully, a much more competitive salary over time.
Okay, so what is the issue that you're most passionate about, and how would you encourage students to get involved with that issue?
The issue of most, and for young people in particular, I genuinely am running because I think we just left you a total mess, and then somehow blamed you for it, which is very bizarre.
Right.
You're like, it's somehow your fault. It makes no sense at all. So the thing that I am most passionate about where you're concerned is that our economy and society is not setting you up to succeed. You know, it's like you all will go to college, it sounds like, and then you're very likely to graduate with tens of thousands of school loans, because that's now the new norm. We're up to 1.5 trillion in student loan debt. And then you're going to graduate and say there's going to be a good job waiting for you. Oh wait, 94% of the jobs are actually temp gig or contract jobs.
Yeah, right.
And the benefits your parents might have gotten are not going to be there for you. But again, we're somehow going to blame you for it. So to me, that's the playing field that's been set up, and it's unfair. And so I would try and fix that. And if we can fix that, then we can also make progress on climate change, which is, to me, side by side with our economy as the main problems.
And then my question was, so I know a big issue for students especially is climate change. And so what is your plan to battle climate change?
I've got a 5-part plan. The brutal truth is that we're years behind on climate change. The last 4 years have been the 4 warmest years, so it's not off in the future anymore. It's now. July was the hottest month in human history. I mean, you have to be kind of brain dead to think that's a coincidence. And be like, oh, maybe July just got really hot. So we're behind. The other tough truth is that the United States of America is only 15% of global emissions. So even if we were somehow to go to zero, the Earth would probably keep warming. And current studies show that even the worst projections are now being exceeded. Like Greenland is melting at the rate projected in 2070 today. And a lot of these glaciers are like ice cubes in a cup of water or soda, where you know when you put the ice cube in, and then it looks like it's not melting for a while, right? But then when it starts to melt, the melt rate like picks up steam. That's what the glaciers are like too. The glaciers are actually more resistant to melting initially, but then after they start melting, it unfortunately starts spiraling. So the way to fight it is to not just move us towards more renewable sources of energy, but also try and make renewable sources of energy more cost competitive for Africa and the developing world, because right now those countries are burning coal. And if we do everything we can, we also have to try and help other parts of the world modernize in the same way, which is a very big move, because right now we're not anywhere in that game. Like, we're not trying to export renewables to that scale. I would also spend hundreds of billions of dollars making our communities more resilient. And that's not just on the coast. I mean, we saw the flooding here. When was that?
Last
year.
It was
Last summer.
I was thinking, was that last summer? Yeah. So it's everywhere. And what we do right now is we wait for a disaster and then we rebuild, which often is a very expensive way to go. And so we should start spending the money now, because unfortunately a lot of this stuff is somewhat predictable. And then I would make it a constitutional amendment that we have to safeguard the environment. And I would, which for whatever reason I think I might be the only candidate calling for it. And then I would say that we have to do not just less of the bad, but more of the good. So I want us to plant a lot more trees. I want us to start seeding the oceans with plankton and other things to try and rebuild the ecosystems, because they're not doing well right now. They're actually disintegrating. Yeah. It's a very long-winded way of saying that. A lot. But I actually think everything's related too, because if we put $1,000 a month into everyone's hands, then I think they'd be more likely to have a more proactive attitude towards climate change. Like, if you can't pay your bills, and I say climate change, and it's like, I can't worry about climate change.
Right.
Like, I'm just trying to pay my bills next month. So then if you get the boot off of people's throat, then you say, hey, we need to worry about climate change. It's like, yeah, I guess we do. And young people in particular, I think you all have such an important voice, because you see a lot of these issues much more clearly. I'm going to tell you guys what happens, and it's not great. So you're young. You're in high school, then you go to college or community college or vocational school. And then as soon as you leave school, then the marketplace starts beating you with a club, like essentially every day. And so right now, in many ways, you can see things much more clearly than most adults can, because adults are getting clouded by bills. Really. Like, as an adult, that's what happens. You're just like, oh, I've got like these bills to pay, and maybe they have, kids to raise, and I'm a parent, I've got 2 kids, and so you have all of these stresses, and then when someone raises like big issues, you're not going to believe this, maybe you'll believe this, but like your own bills seem more immediate to you and more pressing than like the major existential problems like climate change. So that's one reason why you can see young people are some of the biggest leaders in terms of being passionate about climate change, because you all can see it very clearly. You're also going to be here longer, so to the extent that we turn this place into a disaster, like, some of the olds will die off sooner, and then you'd be like, well, I guess, I guess before the mosquitoes. So one of the things I propose too that might apply to some of you is I want to lower the voting age to 16. Because if you did that, then all of a sudden you'd activate all of high school juniors. Every high school would become a political hotbed. Right now, politics is, you're in Iowa, so maybe it does happen here. But in most high schools around the country, I don't think it's as central topic. In part because most people can't vote, except for the seniors who are like on the way out. So if you lower the voting age to 16, then that would be a game changer, because then, and studies bear this out, the younger you are when you first vote, the more likely you are to vote consistently for the rest of your life. So you get people voting early, they'll vote more. And then when people say to me, when I've presented this, they've been like, well, 16-year-olds don't know what's going on with politics. I'm just like, well, a lot of Americans don't know what's going on with politics. It's not like you're giving someone a freaking pop quiz when they show up to the polls, being like, have you studied? They're called low information voters for a reason. So to me, like, the average 16-year-old is no more or less able to get educated on the issues than any other American. And 16-year-olds can pay taxes, which theoretically, if you can pay taxes, then you should be able to vote. And you're going to be here longer, so you have a higher stake in what the heck we do. So to me, lowering the voting age to 16 has both practical and moral and democratic, very strong rationale for it, and the rationale against it's kind of flimsy in my mind. So I'm championing lowering the voting age to 16, and I have to say this is not like a very mainstream or popular issue yet, in large part because people ignore young people on this. You know what I mean? Like, and one of the things that's happening, and this is not a knock, but it's just numbers. The electorate tends to skew old, and our policies tend to skew old as a result. So there's this massive lag time, and to me, if we can shorten that lag time, it could have massive benefits. So I like to think of myself as really a campaign for your generation, because I'm running to try and fix things for you all and my kids to not leave you a total disaster.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Would you mind taking a picture with the
Not
four
all.
of us?
Thank you.
I'll get a picture with you, all of you too.
Dan can't believe he showed up here for such a small group of kids. He's been everywhere and must be tired, but he still show up here. Pretty awesome. Lucky kids. Jang 2020. Can you imagine all of those corporate puppet candidates willing to talk to such a small group of high school students? I think not. Other candidates would never spend their time on the kids because they are not even voting age. But Jang is different. Whether you are voting age or not, he cares. This video made me emotional just thinking about the influence Andrew would have had on my life if he came to my high school. He cared for people, young and old, in the way that I thought never possible in politics. Yang spoke to such a small groups of kids who can't even vote for him yet. That show absolutely genuine and dedication. Best candidate for the century. One day, these young kids were asked what life used to be like before the freedom dividend. Go Jang Gang. This young guy is such a hard worker. He's everywhere. Thank Miss Yang. By the way, this kid asked great questions. Melissa Corey. Andrew should go to more high school so he can do trickle-up campaigning for our kids, parents, and grandparents upwards. Just like how I got my mom part of the Jang Gang. Ha ha ha. Idioro BR. It's so nice to see a candidate that relates so much with young people. I like his energy and ideas. Hope he wins. What other presidential candidate could sit down with some high school kids so comfortably and engage with them and talk about issues on their level? The guy is absolute real deal, boys. It were criminal if he's not the next president. On a Sunday, at a high school, taking questions from kids who can vote. Would any other candidate do this? Just why do this? It's because he actually cares. Why it is that it seems so strange when it should be the norm? I used to against the idea of lowering voting age. After this video, I think I can understand what he come from. This guy is persuasive. I'm so impressed that this dude carved out time from his presumably busy schedule to talk to high school students. What other candidate would do that? None. So how do you think about Andrew Yang through this video? Comment below to let me know.
Thank you for listening. See you in the next video. Bye bye.